The right to life, personal security, education, and freedom from torture are considered universal baselines for human dignity. But in practice, these baselines are under constant tension from exploitation and abuse. Protecting them requires an active, systemic defense mechanism. That is the explicit purpose of professional social work. In the early 20th century, practitioners like Jane Addams pioneered a new approach to social issues. Rather than treating poverty and exploitation as inevitable conditions requiring isolated acts of charity, they organized to address the root causes of injustice and fight for systemic legal protections. This framework gained international traction in 1948 when the United Nations established the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The UN Declaration provided a legal mandate that formalized social work globally. Organizations like the International Federation of Social Workers built standards around these new norms. To enforce these standards, countries began integrating human rights principles directly into academic training. In Malaysia, for example, multiple universities established dedicated academic programs to systematically train new professionals. By the mid-20th century, what began as local advocacy had become a globally recognized profession, officially tasked with defending human dignity. Today, that defense requires a highly structured intervention process. It starts with assessment. Social workers use direct observation and interviews to identify signs of exploitation, evaluate the immediate risk, and secure safe physical protection for victims. This graphic maps the intervention timeline. Once physical safety is secured, the focus shifts to psychological well-being. Practitioners use specialized trauma-informed counseling to help victims process what happened and rebuild a sense of trust. The final step is social reintegration. Providing skills training, economic support, and community networks gives victims the tools they need to live independently and maintain their rights long-term. This human-to-human process is highly effective for individual recovery. But exploitation networks operate on a massive, hidden scale globally, and manual observation alone cannot track them all. To match the volume of modern human rights abuses, social work has had to integrate artificial intelligence and digital tracking tools. Algorithms process millions of data points to detect hidden patterns of exploitation, flagging potential violations before they escalate. Several countries are implementing these systems. Spain's Wall Social and Singapore's SSNet integrate massive amounts of social assessment data to coordinate global intervention efforts. The UK relies on Visor, an integrated centralized database specifically designed to track high-risk offenders and prevent repeat exploitation. By automating risk tracking and reducing administrative burdens, these technologies save hours of paperwork. That gives social workers more time to focus on the human elements of healing and recovery. But artificial intelligence has strict boundaries. An algorithm can analyze case data in seconds, but it cannot express empathy, navigate complex cultural sensitivities, or make nuanced moral judgments. Relying too heavily on these systems introduces new operational dangers. Generative AI is prone to hallucinations, producing highly convincing yet entirely false information about a case. There are also serious risks regarding data privacy when handling sensitive victim information. If an algorithm's assessment parameters are faulty, it can output incorrect risk evaluations, putting vulnerable people directly in harm's way. This chart illustrates the digital gap. Notice how access to technology and digital infrastructure plummets in lower socioeconomic tiers. These are often the groups most vulnerable to exploitation. If a safety net relies entirely on digital access and automated code, it risks abandoning the exact communities it was designed to protect. Technology is a tool, not a root cause of errors, and certainly not an ultimate savior. The responsibility for protecting human rights remains entirely with the human professionals, the organizations they work for, and policymakers who set the rules. Final intervention decisions must always weigh moral and ethical factors. Machine intelligence serves as an advanced support radar, while the practitioner makes the actual judgment call. Defending human rights today requires a dual approach, leveraging the massive analytical scale of modern algorithms while grounding every decision in a trauma-informed human perspective.